The federal government has officially increased the monthly allowance of National Youth Service Corps members from 33,000. Now they will be collecting 77,000 naira monthly, and this increment is to take effect from July this year. The change is in line with the National Minimum Wage Amendment Act of 2024. It's also seen as a significant boost to the Corps members' welfare package. According to the Acting Director of Information and Public Relations, Caroline Embu, this increment aims to bring much-needed financial relief to the Corps members and motivate them to serve the country better. Recall that the Director General of the NYSC, Brigadier General Y.D. Ahmed, had advocated for a robust welfare package for Corps members during his visits to the chairman of the National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission. Joining us now in the studio for this to discuss this development is strategic consultant Dipo Iwole. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning.
What do you make of this announcement?
Okay, well, first I'll start on a hilarious note. So my message this morning to everyone is, build a copper near you.
Someone also said, coppers, don't go to the market dressed in your khakis now.
Yes. So build a copper near you. They're about to be very flush with cash. So yeah. So yes, it is a fantastic development and an encouraging one, I might say, that at least it's not what they used to get before, and they'll be getting something a lot more, also reflecting the current economic realities of our time. So it is a step in the right direction, and it is a very encouraging one, because we also know how things can be for fresh graduates about to get a formal job and trying to go through life. So them starting off life, are we saying the 77,000 is so much? No, but it's a lot better than where they're coming from. So like I said, it's a step in the right direction.
How does this, fit into the broader perspective or design of this renewed hope agenda? Where we have the president introducing a lot of policies, initiatives, and all of that. For instance, we've got a student loan, we've got a credit card, and now we're having the NYSC core members, having to be billed, just like you said.
Yes.
Getting up to 77,000 naira. It's no chicken feed. How do you think, does this say that, or does this go to show that this current administration actually listens to, the Nigerian people, especially in the face of these economic challenges?
Well, with them listening, I believe that in the last, well, I'll say maybe last year to early this year, we saw a couple of things that reflected that they do listen to feedback. However, them communicating adequately is a different conversation altogether. Okay, so yes, this could also signal that, but we also know that this has been in the works for a little bit of time, and we're glad that at least it's been actualized just a little over 1 year in office. So yes, it is. We could say that it's a signal that they listen, but that they are also communicating for us to hear things from them. That's a separate conversation altogether. But with regards to it fitting into the other policies that they have in place, I'd say that they're all square pegs and square holes, and it's about connecting the dots. And we can't get the fuller picture until we see a lot more dots on the table that we're able to connect and say, okay, what do we have on the screen? Do we have a lion or do we have a cat?
And, well, there's also, but then what's your reading as to how you lay this against, we're still in the euphoria, so to speak, of the new minimum wage of 70,000 naira.
Yes.
It's also been, we all know the cycle during service year as a copper. There are some people that will be employed, given automatic employment into the state civil service. How do you see this, or where do you see this going eventually? 77,000 naira for the copper and the new minimum wage.
Yes, so that was something that also puzzled me as to the dynamic of that. I mean, going from 77,000 as a core member to maybe being dropped to 70,000 when you're an entry-level employee somewhere. Well, unfortunately, that's something that they'd have to navigate. There's nothing we can do about that this time. And I believe that it's also a reality that any serious-minded individual will have to put into consideration. So for me, the lesson would also be that you're getting 77,000 now isn't the time to spend at the capacity of 77,000, because it won't always be 77,000. Okay? So like they say, prepare for the worst, hope for the best. So prepare for the fact that when you get a job, you may be getting at least 70,000. So I think their expenditure and their lifestyle should reflect thus, not the 77,000 that they'll be getting now. So I think it's also a call to financial prudency for the core members at this time.
We're not sure about the drive to shore up the revenue of the country. I don't know whether the NYSC allowance is taxable, because after being, maybe tax has been removed before the 77,000 naira, or probably 77,000 naira will be taxed, and then they get a balance. I don't know how that's been done. Do you have any information?
No, I don't have any clue with regards to that at this time. But I believe that if that would be the case, it would be nice for the NYSC to also communicate that adequately to the core members, so everybody knows what to expect. So it's not like we're announcing 77,000, this is 77,000 on the headlines. From 77,000 to be announcing that people have drawn up serious budgets that even before the money has come, the money has left. And then you are coming and saying you've taxed it, and then you're saying 69,000, 65,000.
It's going to be backdated from July now.
Yes, yes. So that needs to be communicated adequately. But overall, I believe that one thing we also need to be very emphatic about in these conversations is effective communication. Unfortunately, I don't know why we keep having to come back to this every single time, that the folks in government at different levels need to understand the power of effective communication. I don't know why we have to go back to it, but we will keep saying it.
Do you see any kind of implications, positive or otherwise, from this? Yes, on the face of it, as you have stressed, it's good news, especially for the coppers, though with an advice for prudency. But in terms of like when the minimum wage was announced of 70,000 naira, it came down to, so how much of a new minimum wage do we even have on our hands, especially with the new price of petrol? But where do you see, how do you see, the broader implications of this announcement?
Okay, well, for the broader implication of the 77,000, I don't think it will have any serious impact on the economy, as you'd say that, okay, maybe if you're increasing minimum wage from 70,000 to like 50,000, we're looking at inflation and other things like that. So for core members, I don't see it as being that significant in effect. Does not mean that they're not a significant part of the populace. But for the overall conversation around purchasing power, which is what we also need to look at generally, saying that cost of things have gone up. So either we're saying minimum wage of 70,000 or NYSC allowance at 77,000. The purchasing power of people is also being affected greatly by the inflation and the current economic realities that we have on ground. So it's also why I said it's also a time to practice a lot of prudence with how they manage the resources that they have at this time, because it will not always be there, and it may not necessarily reflect their future revenue outlook immediately after the NYSC program.
Every time we have to talk about the NYSC program, it always brings to the front burner again as to the relevance of the the service,
yes,
the program. How relevant is it to the realities of nowadays? Because some would say, why do you have to take me to places where I might be kidnapped on the way? We know what the recent core members face when it comes to kidnapping and all of that. Some others would definitely want to file for exceptions, due to one reason or the other, and others would say, to serve my fatherland, is it by force? Because of some of these peculiarities. Talk to us about the significance of the NYSC back in the day and now.
Okay, so like a lot of people know, and for those who don't know, the prime objective of the establishment of the NYSC was to see how to foster national unity. So the idea of moving someone from the southwest to go and serve in the northeast or north central or northwest is so you also have various perspectives with how other people in other parts of the country live, be exposed to their culture, be able to at least establish some relationship there one way or the other. And while you're there from the southwest and the northeast, it's not just going to be people from the southwest. You also have people come from the southeast, people come from the south-south. So at every point you have a state being a melting point of a lot of cultural divergence.
Interesting.
Interestingly, right now, with regards to the realities we have on ground, especially with insecurity and other things, a lot of people have advocated that the program itself has outlived its usefulness because, one, we don't see a lot of emphasis on national unity, and with regards to the value that is seen to be placed on the lives of youth corps members with regards to insecurity. A lot of people are saying that why don't we scrap it altogether? Because we have, in some cases, I mean, if you take a poll, I'm not sure, excuse me, I'm not sure that we can get up to 30% of people that will tell you that their one-year program was spent most productively. Now, interestingly, we can also have the conversation around people who understand the place of personal development, that are saying, okay, you know what, I wasn't given a very fantastic PPA, I maybe didn't have a wonderful CDS location, but during this 1 year period, maybe I was able to start a business, I was able to do this or that. But we must also understand that it's also not every environment that is also conducive to get certain things like that done. There's certain environments that the best you can hope for is maybe do a professional course, okay? Maybe a virtual course, not even a physical, one with a physical location. And maybe you can always start a business somewhere at the same time. Some environments do not provide that kind of access. They do not provide those kind of opportunities. So net positive, I'm not sure it is that at this time, except they're able to rework and reform how the entire approach to the whole thing is going. And frankly speaking, it's always, for some years now, it's been looking like just a money-making machine for a lot of folks in different quarters, if we're being sincere about it. And we're saying we need to prioritize the life of our youth over whatever it is that anyone is trying to make from this, from having people go through the orientation camp and the entire value chain of it. So we must prioritize the lives and the well-being of our youth. They are the future of this country.
There was even a time when, you know, back then in school, people who were even older than the 30-year, you know, mandate now, people were, I still want to serve, I still want to, even though, but, you know, it remains to be seen what people would have to say about that, even if you are still in school. Is this something that still is, the word is freak? Is this something that you still want to, a program that you still want to embark upon, even if you are less than the 30-year-old benchmark? But still on this sense of nationhood, which is also the essence, you could say that's the essence of the NYSC scheme. Is it something that, you know, the government also needs to drive? The NYSC Brigadier General embarked upon, you know, this calling for an increment in welfare wages, but perhaps would you also say what you want to see moving forward, see more of moving forward is, you know, nationhood enhancing programs, bearing in mind, you know, where we are as a country right now?
Yes, and with that question, I'd lay solely at the feet of the National Orientation Agency.
That's right.
Okay, because in the end, their mandate as well, as I understand it, is to help craft a national identity, to help communicate said identity, and to let every single citizen know that this is the role you play in this particular mandate, in this particular narrative that we're trying to craft as a people. And if we're not able to get it right at the level of the NYSC, I don't know what level we can get it right at, because then it's not just about coming out to post on Twitter or X or Facebook or social media or on social media platforms. We need to see how to get actual boots on the ground and see how to, permit me to use the word indoctrinate, folks from the NYSC program to understand the place of nationhood, the place of unity, the place of patriotism, because we do not have that zeal any longer, where you have a lot of people who are about to graduate from school and then they're saying, you know what, I'm going to put on the NYSC uniform, I'm going to go and serve, I'm going to go to some, I mean, back then we used to have people that would say, you know what, I schooled in Lagos all my life, lived in Lagos all my life, I want to go out of Lagos. But now you have people that they school in Lagos, for all intents and purposes, they want their PPA to be on the same street that they live in. So, yes. So that particular sense of, I would say, adventure has also left the hearts of our people.
So there's much needed, that is needed to be done in tackling insecurity and also building that, patriotism in Nigeria, because part of patriotic nature to be able to say you want to live where you're living, and to go into other places.
Even if you want to go regional.
Exactly. Let me quickly chip this in. One of our directors, our managers here, Kadi Leidende, just sent to me that NYSC staff, according to one report by the ICR, say that the NYSC government does not take tax off core members' allowances. So I think they're really safe. They're safe.
77,000. Again, Billy Copper. They're not paying tax. Tax them. So yes, so that sense of patriotism, that sense of adventure, that, you know what, I want to go, I'm just going to the camp, I'll be on a 10-hour road trip, I'll meet a lot of people in the bus, everybody will chat on the way, get to connect with people, we go there. All of that is out of the window now. Now, you have people living in Lagos, they don't even want to go as far as Ibadan.
Right.
They're like, you know what, I don't want to leave the comfort of my home, of my zone. So all those things need to be addressed.
Okay.
Because also we need to understand that where we also have a generation with a sense of adventure is also a generation that will have a sense of exploration. It's that sense of innovation. It's that sense of creativity. And once we're able to kill that off for subsequent generations, then we then have a lot of problems on our hands.
But on a final note, doesn't it also speak to the said failings of government? Because what's the point of going to camp, for example, in a particular state where, even basic amenities are lacking? So then it also gives you the sense of what's the point of the scheme?
Oh, yes. And those are things that we've always clamored for over the years, that at the very least, let them have access to basic amenities. You can't say that you're going to NYSC camp and they have to use the pit latrine, the mattresses are infested with bugs.
Gives you a sense of what is ahead.
Yes,
After
so it's not a good way to start off life, because we also need to understand the place of psychology in things. Now, just came out of higher institution. This is your first experience to pseudo life post graduation from higher institution. They must be able to start on the positive footing to say that, you know what the world has to offer me is something positive. What the world has to offer me is, at the very least, a respect and acknowledgement of my dignity as a person.
Right.
Because you put these people in different places and they're being robbed of their dignity. There's no respect for their person at all.
Absolutely. All right, Tipo Yewole, that will be all. That's all we have time for now. But we thank you. We thank you indeed for your contributions.
And lastly, Billy Copper.
Billy Copper.
But then I hope you won't be. You won't have angry coppers now waiting for you.
They'll be fine. Billy Copper.
All right. It's a